one-step equations. Solve the equations and check your work. The whole point is to isolate the variable, whether it be X or Y or M or whatever. Okay? So we're going to be doing inverse operations. Guys, that means the opposite operation. If I look at this, first thing I want to do is I'm going to draw a little line here. I want to get X all by itself, but right now it has this. It has minus 8 or subtracting 8. The inverse operation for that would be that I would add 8 to both sides of the equal sign. Whatever I do to one side, I must do the other side. This canceled out. That became 0 equals 23. Now, we have to also check our work to make sure that it works. So 23 minus 8, does that equal 15? 15 does equal 15, so yay, I have the right answer. Then I look at this one. This is adding 5. So the inverse operation of adding 5 would be subtracting 5. So I would subtract 5 from both sides of the equal sign. X equals 7. So again, I would check my work. 7 plus 5, does that equal 12? 12 does equal 12, so amazingly, I have the correct answer. Then I come over here. Okay, right now I'm adding 1.5 to both sides of the equal sign. Or sorry, I'm adding 1.5 to the variable, so I want to do the opposite or the inverse operation, so I would subtract 1.5. If I do that, this is, negative 4.5 and negative 1.5. So that means I have all negatives. So I'm going to add these numbers. So that would be negative 6. So if I had negative 6 and I added 1.5 equals, okay, so let's think of it like this. If I took 6 and I subtracted 1.5, it's 5, that would be 4, that would be a negative 4.5. So yes, I did my work correctly. So that means that the answer to this is X equals negative 6. Here we go on this one. Again, I'm going to draw this straight down. I'm going to add 12 to both sides of the equal sign. I bring down the X, I bring down the equals. So I have 32 negatives. I have 12 positives. So that's like subtracting. I'm going to subtract them. When I subtract them, I get negative 20. If I plug that in to see if it works, negative 20 minus 12 equals negative 32. Oops, I forgot to put that. Well, I have all negatives. I have 20 negatives and I have 12 more negatives. That gets me negative 32. So, there we have it. On this one, right now, this is division. Anytime you have a variable over a number, this is division. Division. So the opposite or the inverse operation would be multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equal sign by 5. This 5 cancels with this 5. Oops, I forgot to do that. So I'm left with X on the left. 10 times 5 is 50. If I check my work, I put in 50 divided by 5. Does that equal 10? 10 equals 10. So I've done the right work, and x equals 50. Over here, this is multiplication. This is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication, or the inverse operation, would be division. So I would divide both sides by an 8. Those cancel and I get m. This would be 4. So 8 times 4, does that equal 32? So yes, 8 times 4 is 32. So yes, you have the right answer. So m does equal 4. Over here, I'm going to divide both sides by 8. And I get x equals, well, 8 doesn't go into 10 evenly. So I'm just going to simplify my fraction. So that would be 5 over 4. It's okay to get a fraction, boys and girls. It's okay to get a fraction. So I'm going to replace x with 5 over 4. Now see, this one's not as easy to tell if you have the right answer or not. Remember, that's 8 over 1, so you would get 40 over 4. And 40 divided by 4 is 10, so you do have the correct answer. So this is the correct answer. Okay, on this one, this again is division. So I would multiply both sides of the equal sign by 3. I would get x equals, ooh, I didn't draw that, sorry. And negative times a positive is a negative, negative 45. So then I would plug it in. So negative 45 divided by 3, does that equal negative 15? Negative divided by a positive is a negative. 3 into 4 is 1 with 1 left over. Look at that. Negative 15 equals negative 15. So I do have the correct answer. Okay. Number 9. Now, some of you are going to tell me to divide by 2/3. Well, the problem is with fractions, we can't divide fractions. Okay, so if I took 2/3 and I divided by 2/3, what do? You can't do anything. So what you really do is you take the first one, you make the multiplication, and you multiply by the reciprocal. So you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so that's what we did. And when I do that, I would get 6 over 6, which is equal to 1, and that's the whole purpose. So let's look up here. So we're not going to divide by 2/3. We're actually going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 2. 3 over 2. These 3's cancel, these 2's cancel, I'm left with an x. Now just for you guys, I'll multiply straight across. That's 54 over 2. 54 goes divided by 2 is 27. So I'm going to check my work and make sure I did it correctly. So 2/3 times 27 equals 18. Oops, how about I erase this part down here? There we go. So that can be over 1. 2 times 27 is 54 divided by 3. Does this equal? I did it again. There we go. So 3 goes into 5 one time with 2 left over. 3 goes into 4 8 times. So yes. Now, if you did cross cancellation, which hopefully you're doing by now, 1, that changes to 9, and 2 times 9, it gets 18. So 27 is our answer on that one. So this one, I do the same thing. I multiply by the reciprocal, which is 6 over 5. Hopefully you can do cross canceling. 5 goes into 25 5 times, and you would get 30. Now, if you don't know how to do it that way, that's fine. That would get me 150 over 5, which still gets me 30. It doesn't matter which way I do it, I still get the same answer. And then I check my answer. 5/6 times 30, does that equal 25? So if I do it, 6 goes into 35 times, that gets me 25 equals 25. If you do it the other way, then you would get 150 divided by 6, and you get 25 equals 25. It doesn't matter which of the two ways you use, you would still get that is your answer. Okay, and one last one. Now, I purposely wrote it like this so that I could show you that if I put that over 1, 1/3 x is the same thing, boys and girls, as x over 3. It means the exact same thing. So I would just multiply by 3 on both sides and get x equals negative times a positive is a negative, and that would be negative 54. Check my answer. 1/3 times negative 54 equals negative 18. Okay, if I do cross cancellation, we would get negative 18 equals negative 18. But if you don't like it that way, then I can do it the other way. And that's over 1, and I get negative 54 over 3. And I still get negative 18 equals negative 18. So